Morning, September the 20th, 8 o'clock on the dot. I'm WESH 2 First Warning Meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather, see what's doing outside your window. Hopefully, beautiful weather by you. It's beautiful weather here in my neighborhood. Let's take you over to Port Canaveral, see what's doing. There's Utopia of the Seas. Sun shining bright. Boy, I hope in a week I can get on board that thing. It's beautiful, though. Let me take you up to New Smyrna Beach, check, see what's doing there. Oh, yeah, that's gorgeous. Orlando International Airport, checking in, looking good. The tourist district, little hazy there, but not too bad. Tavares, how you doing? Oh, man, look how pretty that is. Clear sky. Should be flying an airplane right now. More clouds up here in Ocala, but either way, it's still a pretty morning. I hope you're having a great start to the day in your neighborhood. Temperatures out the door. There we go. Temperatures out. I'm like, what happened here? All right. Temperatures out the door. Not too bad. We are waking up to readings in the 70s across town. First warning live Doppler radar. Quiet over top of us. So, gotta love that. Forecast the next couple of days. Looking pretty good. Today, looking pretty good too. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s by lunchtime. We'll work to about 91 degrees 3 o'clock this afternoon and an isolated 20% chance of rain. You gotta love that. I ran out of creamer this morning, so this is gonna be my first sip of coffee. Oh, I needed that so badly. Okay. Take a moment and take a sip. Enjoy that coffee. All right, so temperatures today look like this around Central Florida. Upper 80s, lower 90s. Really does look like a pretty nice forecast for us in Central Florida. Futurecast showing a fairly low coverage of rainfall. Let's look hour by hour, okay? Starting this morning, 8 o'clock, sight picture looking clear, maybe a little bit of low cloudiness, patchy fog. Beginning to develop 1:30, 2 o'clock, popcorning up a few showers. 3, 4 o'clock, maybe a couple of storms over the metro, but really looking pretty good. Continuing 5, 6 o'clock, showers are fading. And then maybe the West Coast sea breeze getting going 7, 7:30, 8, 9 o'clock tonight. So today's forecast is actually looking at a pretty dry setup. Not much rain, right? Low chances of rain around Central Florida. After the couple of days that we had, yeah, we'll take a little bit of drier air. So that's where we're at. All right. Rain chances over the next few days, staying dry, by the way. Here's a look. Rain chance today 20%, tomorrow 30%, Sunday 30%, Monday 20%. We're really staying low. It's not like a perfectly dry setup, but it's definitely a drier setup, right? And that's nice timing because think about it, fall is just a couple of days away. Just this weekend we start fall. So last couple of days of summer, I can't believe it, but here it is. Ah, can't believe it, but here it is, right? I'll take it. Tiffany says, coming back to Orlando this weekend, cannot wait to be home. We do need the rain. Beth says, you know, we always need some rain. But we're heading into a weekend. There's a lot of stuff going on. For example, there's the Walk to End Alzheimer's over in Cocoa. Looks really, really nice for that event. There's Halloween Horror Nights tonight. Looks really, really nice for that event. There's just it's gorgeous. I love this. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast together, and then we can get into the tropics. Certainly, there's plenty to talk about in the tropics. But before we do, here's that 7-day forecast. Okay, there you go. Low rain chances, high temperatures around 90. Fall begins on Sunday morning. Happy birthday, Matt's wife. Welcome to the 40 Club. The water's very comfortable here. All right, that's where we're at. Questions, comments, concerns? Otherwise, we'll get into the tropics. We'll see what's doing. I'm gonna need some coffee, y'all. I'm not awake. I would also add, if anybody is interested in more on the tropics, Jeremy and I believe, are going to do an 11 a.m. update. So there may be an 11 a.m. track in the tropics. I'm like 75% sure we're going to do that. So not 10 a.m. today. It's going to be 11 a.m. But 11 a.m. if you're looking for tropical information, if you just can't get enough. 11 a.m. tracking the tropics. Okay. All right. Now let's look outside, see what's doing. In the Caribbean, we're watching some moisture bubbling up around Central America. That is all associated with kind of a broader area that will try to develop. Nothing going crazy for now, but this is the highlighted area, highlighted in orange, that the Hurricane Center says over the next 7 days' time may see some tropical development. There's no X on the map, so what that means is that nothing has started to form, okay? But essentially in this area here, over the next 7 days' time, okay? Evelyn says, I'll be here at 11. Very good. Stay away RT on YouTube is asking what time zone? Eastern time. We are Eastern time. Yeah. So that's the area that we're watching. Okay. Now, a couple of things that I need everybody to know is that nothing has formed. As a matter of fact, if you look down here, there's moisture around Central American gyre that will eventually bubble up, but nothing has really gotten going. Okay, so it's important to note nothing has formed. So when we use computer models, we have to take them with a grain of salt. All right. Now, where are the computer models going? They're all trying to develop something, and this morning's model runs have all kind of done this little trajectory of kind of lifting, mainly like Louisiana to about the Florida Panhandle. That's where this morning's model runs have been showing. But I highlight this last line right here. Nothing has formed. Model data should be taken loosely. So we'll look at all the different models together, but that's where the global models are kind of looking at. Okay? So let's look and see kind of where we're at here. All right? This is the raw 6Z GFS. Okay? The 6 Zulu run, that's the current time. That's the most recent run of the GFS. All right, this is raw, so it's it's not going to be pretty. All right, so this is 12Z Wednesday, September 25th. So we definitely notice right there. That's 8 p.m. Tuesday, September 24th into about 8 a.m. September 25th. That's when we start to see low pressure developing in the Caribbean Sea. Watch it very near the Yucatan Peninsula, deepening, and then making its way up to about Mobile Bay. Okay, how strong? That would be a 974 low or thereabouts. All right, that's the most recent run of the GFS. Let's go back a run and just kind of get an idea. Go back a run, kind of the same area, but was making landfall Friday. The new run is making landfall Sunday, so it's slowed down. Go back 2 runs. That was more of a west coast of Florida on Friday. Go back 3 runs, and it was the west coast on Sunday, and this was nasty. I mean, that was a 954, 948 millibar low, so that's nasty. Really glad that that isn't playing out, but you kind of start to see the models are definitely going back and forth and definitely going back and forth and back and forth. Okay. So GFS is still showing a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. GFS ensembles. If you're unfamiliar with the ensembles, think of it as 30 different versions of the GFS. It takes the GFS and it just kind of looks at the different elements of it. And you can see some greens showing up. So those are different ensemble members that are doing some hurricane-y things. I like to put them right on top of each other just because it gives you a kind of a one-stop shop. So there's the GFS ensembles. And from Wednesday night through the following Wednesday, that's the time frame for the different ensemble members. But you see there's a really good consistency of models showing development here. Most of them are wanting Louisiana to about the Panhandle, and I would say that that's probably what will end up happening. But it's far too early to get any kind of dial in on exactly what happens. But your GFS ensembles are very clearly showing um, a growing consistency of development and pathways, right? They're kind of lifting up toward the north. So there's that. All right. Let's switch over. Let's look at the European model. All right. So the 6Z, a reminder, the 6Z only goes out 90 hours. We have to continue. So we have to go back to the 00Z, which goes out longer. There's the Euro developing something out in the Gulf. And then bringing it into Mexico. So you're going to see a lot of people that are going to be like showing you this big, scary GFS model and ignoring the European model that basically doesn't have anything going on. Okay? Let's look at the European ensembles. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that the European ensembles are showing stuff. The European deterministic or single run is not, but there's clear scan that the European is developing something on its ensemble members, but it has no idea what's happening. And then you notice like these other little guys coming in from the right, like the Europeans also got some members doing stuff later on. But in terms of things, the deterministic Euro probably will start coming around and developing something. It's not yet, but it's probably going to. You see these ensemble members, and they vary a great deal on the European as to where it goes. But yeah, at this point in time, I would still say that just the Gulf Coast needs to watch. All right, let's head over to pressure. Let's look at the Canadian model. Now, what's interesting is the Canadian model is a bit weaker coming over toward the Florida Panhandle, but it's still showing something. Canadian ensembles. Yeah, I mean they're still there. So there's a continued consistency for tropical development here. Nothing's dialed in, nothing's locked in yet. But in terms of our tracking, here's where we're at, okay? The next couple of days, the computer models will just continue to try dialing this in, dialing this in, dialing this in, right? And then from there, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the storm system itself starts to form, right? And then by about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we at least start dialing into this idea of, all right, where could this go? When could it do that? That sort of thing. Okay. And we'll at least have a better idea as it works into the Gulf of Mexico, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Marie Rob's asking, oh, the AI model. Forgot the AI model. Yes, the European model has an AI flavor. So here's the Euro AI model. All right, yeah, so it's bringing it in 983. Yeah, so bringing it into like the panhandle. So there you go. So that's the AI model. People are asking, is one model better than all the others? Not at this point. At this point, I would just say that I used this analogy yesterday in the Weather Center, and it's not a good one, but it is what it is. Put me in a dark room with 100 ladies. I'm single if in this scenario. Put me in a dark room with 100 ladies of varying levels of intelligence, personality, and appearance, and tell me to pick my wife. I would say that's it's you just can't do it. That's what the models are right now. You can't pick the model that's right because you just can't. You just can't do that. We're just not there. But we'll get there. We'll get there. As the storm system tries to develop, we'll turn the lights on, we'll have conversations, we'll learn. and then we can start figuring out which one. Is that dumb? Is that a bad analogy? I am the king of bad analogies. Nobody ever accused me of having good analogies. Matt's asking if we're dating a hurricane. I don't know. I don't know. Somebody asked if the Madden-Julian oscillation is in phase. That's a good question. So here's the Madden-Julian oscillation right now. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, the Madden-Julian oscillation is basically where the atmosphere helps with developing systems. You see how it's green in the Pacific? Watch what happens right there. That's Tuesday, September 24th. That's Wednesday, September 25th. So notice the Gulf of Mexico goes green, right? As the Gulf of Mexico goes green, it shows that we are going in phase for the Madden-Julian oscillation. We are going in phase for tropical development in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea. So yes, the Madden-Julian oscillation absolutely is going into some of the most favorable phase we have seen yet this hurricane season, if I'm honest, which will develop for development, which will allow and help for development. Okay? Somebody was asking about Futurecast. Our Futurecast model does not go out that here. I'll show you our Futurecast model. It's a high resolution model, but it's a very what we call mesoscale model. But I already have it positioned. Here's the most recent, the 6Z Futurecast. Yeah, it goes to Monday. That's as far out as it goes. But there's some squally weather starting up. The date says, but you can see it. The data stops Sunday, Monday, and then it just the timestamp goes, but there's no data there, so it stops at 1 a.m. on Monday. So yeah, so that's where we're at. Why is Julian mad? That's funny. That's funny. All right, going green. We got greenage. Cindy's asking, will develop for development? I know, yeah. Sometimes I'm not good. Sometimes I'm not a good communicator. Ask colleagues, my wife, my friends, anybody that knows me. Yeah. We need to give that analogy to Jeannie, see if she could pick you out of 100 men. Now I want to try this theory. I feel like she would claim that she could. I don't know. She would claim she could. Ah, oh, boy. Do you have Super Doppler? Yes. All right. So that's kind of where we're at. The models are showing a system getting into the Gulf. Outside of that, we don't have the answers. Yeah. Shane's asking, are the charts you use public? If so, where would you be able to find them? Some of them are public. Some of them are behind paywalls. Our Futurecast is an internal deal, so it's not public. But one website that I have used, tropicaltidbits.com. This is a great website if you're looking for computer model data. And here, so this is Tropical Tidbits, and if you come up to the top where it says forecast models, right? Move this over a little bit. Yeah, you've got all kinds of data here. So I'll just kind of resize this for a bit. So this is just the website Tropical Tidbits. And there's your GFS. Right, and you can see there, top left, like runtime 6Z, so that's the most recent run. You can look at some of the ensembles, you know, precipitate water. You can look at global. You can look at the European model. This is the 0Z Euro. Yeah. And what's kind of interesting too, and I'm just showing you this for the purposes of, let's see here. So this kind of shows the differences in the different models. So let's look here for a second. Let me come over to global. Since we're here, might as well. Let's look at the steering for it, okay? So what you end up with here is you've got the vorticity there in the Gulf of Mexico, and you've got that trough over like the Midwest, right? And that trough is what's lifting it up and helping to give it the weakness to lift to the north. Whereas if we look at the European, notice that trough is not there. That trough is in a completely different spot, and thus you're just not looking at the same situation where the storm can get picked up. So steering is going to be a big player in terms of the actual thermodynamics of things. Just showing it to you on the Tropical Tidbits website, but you know, I created this yesterday to kind of illustrate it a little bit better, because on TV we have to try to be a little bit easier on the brain. So essentially, looking at the GFS model, okay, that dry air shown by these oranges and these grays, that dry air is basically going to act as a blockade for the storm system. And so looking at how that dry air entrains in is going to steer the storm system. So that's the GFS model. Whereas if we watch the European model, watch how that dry air is in a completely different spot, and it totally steers the system differently, right? That dry air is basically over Florida. So you just kind of look around and see the different dynamics off of the different models, and it gives you at least an idea of kind of what the different models are showing, right? All right, so that's kind of where we're at. That's how the model's trying to figure it all out. Is it's all about what's going on upstairs and how it plays out in the surface. Robert, retired relaxed Floridian on X. Eric, can you post the graphic that you have on X yesterday that showed storm tracks that have formed in the orange area? So here's the problem. The Hurricane Center just changed that orange area. So I don't have all of the tracks off of the new orange area, but off of the kind of main development area, this is where all the storms formed from when I updated this last night. I need to go back and change it. So to answer your question, you can kind of see where storms that formed in this orange area have gone, but I didn't include, because it wasn't highlighted yesterday, like all of this area in the Gulf of Mexico, I didn't include. So I need to go back and change it. So it's not exactly like a valid product at the moment. All right. So that's kind of where we're at, my friends. 40% chance of development. I will change that historical graphic. I will get it back and updated for you. But at this point in time, looking at all the global models, this is kind of where we're at. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? Anyone have a bear box on their bingo card? But it's not an a bear box storm system, because the a bear box was consequential in that it had to be a major hurricane that moved through. John's asking, if the storm gets named, will it be the I storm? No, this will not be the I storm. This is actually scheduled to be the H storm. Yeah. Brent is asking, do you find it odd that all the Euro ensembles are from Mexico to South Florida, but the main operational run is way west and way weaker? Do I find it odd? No, we just have to remember the operational runs first, and then we change the dynamics for the ensembles. So the ensembles kind of peel it back, and what we find is a Euro model that has no idea. The GFS, at least the ensembles, somewhat mirror the operational in that something will develop, whereas the Euro operational doesn't even develop it really, whereas the ensembles do. So to me, the Euro model is just a little bit less reliable in this suite, because the ensembles reveal it's like a confused child. Mr. Mike says, so frustrating, these models can't be trusted within 7 days and consistent with each other. I agree, it's frustrating, but the sheer fact that nothing has formed and the models are consistently showing development and consistent-ish with motion is unbelievable to me. Mr. Mike, you've done this for a million years too. You can't tell me that that's cool, right? Like even if it's not great model data, and I know some of the academia meteorologist people shout for people like you and I sharing it, but I don't care. I'm going to share data. I'm going to put context in it. I know, Mr. Mike, you do the same thing. But like years ago, models didn't just show stuff before it formed. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. And so, okay, I put my disclaimer on this graphic, but the sheer fact that the models are showing something, that's unbelievable. I mean, more on the line of what you said, don't share, they can't be trusted. Man, these are the same people that shout at me for my long-range forecast. They can kiss my tuchus. It's my job and your job to tell people what's going on, to share data, but give perspective. As long as we do that, listen, the internet can't exist without people that are going to tear other people apart. That's the sad truth. So all we do is what we do. And the people that want to tear us apart, guess what? You can't have bridges without trolls, right? Can't have the internet without trolls. Kiss grits. I'm going to just do my job. And Mr. Mike, I saw what you posted and I just laughed. And I was wondering if you and I were going to get on a side chat either on Coffee Talk or on the Twitter about it, but you know. All we're going to do is what we're going to do. So, they're the models. Don't trust them for gospel, but guess what? You shouldn't even if it's a category 5 hurricane, don't take the computer models for gospel. Computer models are guidance, not gospel. Mic drop. There it is. So there you go. All right. So the fact of the matter is there's something that wants to move into the Gulf of Mexico that hasn't formed yet. So we just want to watch it. That's all. That's all. All right. Questions about that? Questions, comments, concerns? Anything. So it's 8:28. Ninja style. 11 a.m. WJCL Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Nelson and I will do a Tracking the Tropics. He and I will discuss what we're looking at here. We'll have some new model data perhaps by then. And yeah, at the end of the day, hurricane season. Gonna have to watch. The models keep showing something. So let's watch it. All right? Sound good? You're a ninja. Did I know this? I know. Nobody said I was very smart. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? No? We good? We good? Oh, Josue, you bring it up and I didn't even think about it. Today is the anniversary of Hurricane Maria's landfall in Puerto Rico. 7 years. I did a story on it for Wesh 2 News. It'll air. Couple of things though in working on that story that I'm embarrassed to say that I had forgotten. I knew that it was a terrible storm. I knew that it had impacted. I had forgotten the death toll was as severe as it was. I had forgotten that it was the largest blackout in United States history. Did you know that? Some people were without power almost a year. Wow. Terrible, terrible storm. 7 years ago today, made landfall in Puerto Rico. All right. So I'll have a story on that on Wesh 2 News as well. And I'll be doing the noon and 4. All right. In the meantime, be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. I will see you guys at 11 a.m.